Are all narcissists the same? I've had so many people read my books or my articles or watch my videos and say things like, I can't believe how accurate this is for my situation. Or, have you been spying on me? This is my life. I've even heard people say that we must have the same parents or the same ex because my situation sounded identical to theirs. I have been researching and writing about narcissism and narcissistic relationship recovery pretty extensively for more than a decade now. One thing that has always stood out to me is that the traits of narcissists seem to be the same across the board, regardless of their life circumstances, their relationship status, their culture, race, religion, financial status. It's almost like they have a playbook or something. But how is that possible, that they're all so very similar? Well, that's exactly what we're talking about today at queenbeing.com, how similar narcissists really are. So let's get started. So do narcissists really have a playbook that they all use?
Well, obviously.
Well, no, not technically, but it almost seems like they do. A client of mine recently referred to this as a narcissist program, noting that narcissists all seem to be running the same computer program. I have also, admittedly, found myself jokingly referring to narcissists as NPCs or non-player characters. It's a video game term I learned from my kids that means a programmed character that doesn't have a human behind it.
Yeah, those are some pretty smart kids you have there.
For sure. But why is that? How could they all be so similar? Is there something specifically neurological going on here? Is it a result of some sort of trauma? Or is there something else going on? Well, let's talk about it. We're going to start with talking about how narcissists are different than the rest of us.
This ought to be good.
So we all know that narcissists are seriously lacking in empathy, especially those who would be classified as having NPD or narcissistic personality disorder if they'd ever give anyone the chance to diagnose them officially.
Side note, they won't, because they don't think there's anything wrong with them.
That's right, but let's start with the fact that published scientific research tells us that people with narcissistic personality disorder may have less gray matter in the left anterior insula, or the part of the brain that is linked to empathy. Side note, you don't have to take my word for it. I'll link to this study and others I'm mentioning in the description below so you can see for yourself. But the layman's version of the scientific explanation is that those parts of the brain that mediate empathy or the ability to care about other people's feelings are lower functioning and less capable of focusing on others. In other words,
the narcissist has less gray matter in their brain than someone who actually has the ability to have empathy?
Yeah. And what's worse is that researchers say that the differences in narcissist brains are actually literally causing them to turn inward and self-focus.
What? I'm totally shocked.
Yeah. Study authors define certain traits as being shared among all narcissists, despite various other definitions and forms of narcissistic personality disorder. In one German study, researchers found that the degree to which a person was able to exhibit empathy was directly tied to the amount of gray matter in the brain, both in the healthy individuals as well as in those with narcissistic personality disorder. Narcissists by nature are very subtle in the way they control and manipulate their victims. In fact, so often, even the very people they're manipulating and controlling aren't aware of it. That's the very nature of their very favorite manipulation tactic. We call it gaslighting.
Wait a minute, gaslighting, isn't that when they make you feel crazy by making you question your reality and doubt your own perception of the world around you?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And so many people are in those situations because they are being so heavily manipulated. They really believe that they are the ones with issues, when in reality, they've just been horribly gaslighted by one of these people. It's crazy making, to say the very least.
At the very least.
While there are various types of narcissists, and while they do exist at various levels of toxicity, there are 4 very basic traits that nearly every narcissist has in common, according to a 2013 study published by 2 people who have kind of hard to pronounce names, so I'm going to put them on the screen for you right here. In a narcissism-focused study, the researchers were able to define the following traits as being shared among all narcissists, despite various other definitions and forms of the personality disorder. It didn't matter if they were a covert narcissist or one of the many other types that we've currently defined. So here are the 4 qualities shared by all narcissists. Regardless of the classification: selfishness, disregarding other people, being self-centered, lack of empathy.
Yeah, but there aren't that many narcissists in the world. I read somewhere that there's only like 0.06% or something who are diagnosed with NPD, right?
You're right that there aren't many diagnosed cases of narcissistic personality disorder, and that's because typically NPD goes undiagnosed because most narcissists see nothing wrong with their behavior. So, unless they're forced into therapy because of a legal issue or by a spouse who threatens to leave them if they don't go, they aren't diagnosed. But according to psychologist Bree Bonshea, who created Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day, more than 158 million people are affected by narcissistic abuse in relationships in the United States alone.
Dang! So, what are we supposed to be looking for here? What are the symptoms?
Great question. According to the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, the DSM-5, which was published by the American Psychiatric Association, the official list of symptoms is as follows. Having an exaggerated sense of self-importance, expecting to be recognized as superior, even without achievements that warrant it. Exaggerating your achievements and talents. Being preoccupied with fantasies about success, power, brilliance, beauty, or the perfect mate. Believing that you are superior and can only be understood by or associate with equally special people. Requiring constant admiration. Having an enormous sense of entitlement. Expecting special favors and unquestioning compliance with your expectations. Taking advantage of others to get what you want. Having an inability or unwillingness to recognize the needs and feelings of others. Being envious of others and believing others envy you. Behaving in an arrogant or haughty manner. According to the DSM, diagnosis of NPD would typically be made by a qualified psychologist or psychiatrist when 5 or more of the characteristics are identified. But like I said, generally the condition goes undiagnosed because narcissists see nothing wrong with their behavior.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I know, right? People who are involved with narcissists and those who have NPD typically report the following kinds of behaviors and characteristics in those people.
Oh boy. Do we see a pattern here?
Yeah, we might see one. Maybe. The belief that they are special and the desire to only associate with people that he or she perceives are on their wavelength or who will appreciate them appropriately. The need for excessive admiration from those around them. An expectation of especially favorable treatment and automatic agreement by the people around them. Exploitation of others around them for their own benefit or advancement. Inability to empathize with other people. Feeling envious of others, but also feeling like others are envious of them. Acting arrogant, and maybe trying to disguise arrogance with ethics. Displaying an exaggerated sense of self-importance, and typically very extremely judgmental. So how do you deal with these people if you have one in your life?
You run as far and fast as you can?
Well, actually, you're not totally off base there. It is usually best to distance yourself from a person like this, a person with NPD. You go no contact.
See, now you're actually making some sense here.
Yeah. This is especially true because they don't generally realize that anything is wrong with them, and even if they did, they would never admit it. Plus, there's currently no known cure for NPD or any personality disorder, though if a person affected with it seeks therapy, change might be possible, but it's very unusual for them to seek therapy because, again, they don't see any problem with their behavior. There's so much more to discuss here, but I want to open up the discussion now with the question of the day. And the question of the day is, have you noticed that someone in your life seems to have all the traits and qualities of a narcissist? Have you ever wondered if they all have some kind of weird playbook or something? Share your thoughts, share your ideas, share your experiences in the comment section below, and let's talk about it. As always, thank you so much for being a part of my day and a part of my life, and hey, thanks for letting me be a part of yours. It really does mean a lot to me. I hope you didn't mind this more casual video today. Before I go, make sure you take a look at the videos I'm leaving for you right here and right there. And while you're here, hit that subscribe button so we can stay connected and continue on this healing journey together. I'll see you soon.